All animals need sleep, and in fact, actually all have the same sleep gene, would you believe? William Shakespeare said, sleep is the chief nourisher of life's feast. But we've come to try and fix sleep deprivation through using coffee and other stimulants. But sleep is our way of our bodies replenishing itself, both physically and cognitively. So some of the first cognitive functions to drop off if you're not getting enough sleep are our ability to prioritize and our ability to regulate our behavior. In fact, the part of the brain that connects our emotional self, which is the back part of your brain typically, to your logical self, actually breaks down the connections if we don't get enough sleep between those two components. Not prioritizing means we start reacting to things tactically when they come up, instead of actually thinking what's important and what's not. And that regulation, that's basically would be grumpy. We start reacting emotionally when things come up, instead of taking a step back and thinking a bit more about whether we need to react or how we should react to those things. One fascinating piece of research found that people who don't get enough sleep not only feel more lonely, but the people they interact with them also felt more lonely, even though they were getting enough sleep. So sleep deprivation seems to suck the energy out of us. So the two components to our sleep. Deep sleep is typically the first 2 lots of 2 hours in the first part of the night, typically probably about a half an hour after you fall asleep. REM sleep is for the second part of our sleep, which is where we dream. We know that during the deep sleep, our immune system is the most active. Our body repairs itself. Our cells divide and repair, heal parts, but also the natural part of replenishing itself. And the waste material generated by our brain each day is actually disposed of in deep sleep. All the capillaries within our brain actually shrink, and a fluid is emitted by the brain which gets rid of the waste material produced during the day. REM sleep, we're less certain about what it does, but what we think is it's actually part of encoding experience and learning from the previous day. If you wake people up before they get into their REM sleep, things they've learned the previous day they can't remember the day after. So it seems to be about encoding thoughts and memories. The key things about sleep are enough, regular, and in the dark. So what is enough? Well, basically 8 hours a day seems to be what most people need. We need about slightly more in winter, about 9, and slightly less in summer, about 7. There are actually 2 different parts of our brain that control sleep. One controls the deep sleep, and the other controls the REM sleep. But interestingly enough, when we don't get enough REM sleep, which is the second part of the night, the next night your brain prioritizes some of that REM sleep, or prioritizes REM sleep over the deep sleep to make up for what you lost. So you get less deep sleep the next night. And we know that the deep sleep is very important for our immune system and our brain to get rid of waste material, and to our body to replenish itself. So if our immune system is not working effectively, often we haven't had that deep sleep that we need. Regular is important because the first part of our sleep is the deep sleep. And this doesn't shift very easily after the age of about 22. We tend to be, if we normally go to bed at 10, we'll probably be deep sleep by 10:30, and that doesn't move very quickly. So if tonight I go to bed at 12, I will have lost an hour and a half of my deep sleep. So if we do chop and change our sleep time, we're going to be missing out on that deep sleep, which again we know is very important for our immune system and things. The last part is in the dark, and this is important because our body produces a chemical called adenosine when we're awake. Our body temperature increases by a degree during the day and decreases by a degree at night. And about 2 hours before we normally go to bed, our body temperature starts to reduce. And it's in this period where we're still awake, producing adenosine, that we feel fatigued and tired. So this is our body's way of telling us it's time to get ready for bed. But sleep itself doesn't actually get rid of adenosine. We need the hormone melatonin to get rid of it. Otherwise, we can actually have a good night's sleep, but feel fatigued as the adenosine is still in our system. Our body produces melatonin when we sleep in a dark room and stay off our devices for 90 minutes before going to bed. And we get enough daylight during the day, which is about 30 minutes as a recommendation during the day. Even people who sit by a window at work sleep 26 more minutes per night than those who sit without some daylight on them. So those are the keys to sleep. The enemies of sleep are, as you can see, our body's expecting to cool down. So if it gets too hot, that certainly interrupts our sleep. Caffeine can impact our sleep because when we're having our natural sleep cycles, we wake up at the top of those cycles instead of just going back to sleep again. And the third element is as alcohol can also impact our sleep. If we have that too late in the evening, about 2 o'clock in the morning, the alcohol has been digested into sugars, and now your body's trying to process the sugar by being active, which again wakes you up.